My mother-in-law moved in temporarily and rearranged our entire house. My solution made her leave within 24 hours. I, 34M, have always prided myself on being patient. My wife tells me it's one of my best qualities, but even saints have their breaking points. Mine came last Tuesday. For context, my wife and I have been married for 6 years. We bought our first home 2 years ago, nothing fancy, just a 3-bedroom ranch style with a decent yard in a quiet neighborhood. We worked hard for it, saved for years, and have spent countless weekends painting, fixing, and making it ours. 3 weeks ago, my mother-in-law called my wife in tears. Apparently, there was a major plumbing issue in her condo that required extensive repairs, and she needed a place to stay just for a week or two while the work was completed. My wife looked at me with those pleading eyes, and like the supportive husband I try to be, I agreed. The first few days were fine. My mother-in-law brought 2 suitcases and settled into our guest room. She cooked dinner the first night, admittedly delicious, and everything seemed manageable. I work from home most days while my wife commutes to her office job, so I was around the house more than she was. By day 4, I noticed small changes. The coffee mugs were rearranged in the cabinet. The throw pillows on our couch were in different positions. The dining table had been moved 2 feet to the left. When I mentioned it to my wife, she just shrugged and said, "Mom likes things a certain way. It's no big deal." But it didn't stop there. By the end of the first week, our entire kitchen had been reorganized. Utensils that used to be in the drawer next to the stove were now across the room. Plates were stacked by size rather than by type, as we'd always done. I spent 10 minutes looking for the coffee filters one morning, only to find them in a cabinet I never use. "The flow is better this way," she explained when I asked about it. "Your kitchen setup was inefficient." I bit my tongue, reminding myself it was temporary. Then came the living room transformation. I returned from a rare afternoon meeting to find our bookshelf completely redone. Books that were previously organized by genre were now arranged by color. My collection of paperbacks had been moved to a box in the closet because they looked messy. Family photos had been rearranged, and some were missing entirely. "Where's the picture from our trip to Yellowstone?" I asked my wife that evening. Mom thought it didn't match the aesthetic of the other frames. She replied, not looking up from her phone. I took a deep breath. "And you were okay with that?" "It's just a picture. We can put it back when she leaves." That weekend, I came home from a grocery run to find my mother-in-law had moved our bedroom furniture. Our bed was now facing the opposite wall, the dresser was blocking part of the closet, and my nightstand was gone completely. "Your feng shui was all wrong," she informed me as I stood in the doorway, grocery bags still in hand. "This promotes better energy flow and will help you both sleep better." I found my nightstand in the garage, along with several other items from around the house she deemed clutter. This included my collection of sports memorabilia I've had since childhood and the handmade lamp my grandfather built before he passed away. When I brought this up to my wife that night, she sighed. "You know how she is. It's just for another week. Then we can put everything back." But the final straw came when I discovered she had gone through my home office. My carefully organized files were now in different folders with a color coding system I couldn't understand. My desk had been repositioned to face the wall instead of the window where I enjoyed watching the neighborhood while on conference calls. And worst of all, she had unplugged my custom-built PC setup to save electricity while I was out, causing me to lose several hours of work on a project with a tight deadline. When I confronted her, she waved me off. "That computer uses too much power, and staring at the window all day is distracting you from your work." I raised 3 successful children. I know what I'm talking about. That night, I couldn't sleep. The bed felt wrong in its new position. My back was aching from the new chair she'd swapped in at my desk, and my frustration was at an all-time high. My wife was sound asleep beside me, seemingly unbothered by any of it. I realized if I didn't do something, this temporary situation would become our new normal. The next morning, after my wife left for work and my mother-in-law went to her weekly hair appointment, I put my plan into action. I started in the kitchen. I moved everything back to exactly where it had been before she arrived. Every mug, plate, and utensil went back to its original home. I returned the furniture to its proper place in every room. I restored my office completely, reconnected my computer, and put back all my personal items that had been boxed up. But I didn't stop there. I went into the guest room, her temporary domain, and rearranged everything. I reorganized her suitcase, color-coding her clothes and folding them using the Marie Kondo method she'd been preaching about. I rearranged her toiletries in the guest bathroom by size and frequency of use. I even reorganized her purse, sorting receipts by date, and arranging her credit cards alphabetically by issuing bank. I left a neatly written note on her bed. Asterisk, I noticed your personal organization system needed improvement. I've taken the liberty of optimizing your belongings for better energy flow and efficiency. I hope you appreciate the changes as much as I've appreciated yours. Also, I've returned the rest of the house to its original state, which is non-negotiable. Asterisk. When she returned and saw what I'd done, the explosion was nuclear. She stormed through the house, discovering each restored room with increasing outrage. When she found her reorganized personal belongings, she turned a shade of red I didn't know was humanly possible. How dare you touch my personal things? This is completely inappropriate and disrespectful, she shouted. With a calm I didn't know I possessed, I replied. I thought we were helping each other optimize our living spaces. You've been doing it to my home for 2 weeks. I was just returning the favor. That's completely different. I was helping you both live better. And now you understand exactly how I feel, I said. This is our home. We set it up the way we want it. If you're going to stay here, you need to respect that. She called my wife in tears, who rushed home from work. I explained what happened, showing her the boxes of our personal items that had been hidden away, the reorganized office that had disrupted my work, and reminded her of the meaningful items that had been deemed clutter. To my surprise, my wife didn't immediately take her mother's side. She looked around at our restored home, and something seemed to click. Mom, she said finally, I think we need to respect how we've set up our home. I know you're trying to help, but this is getting out of hand. Her mother didn't speak to either of us for the rest of the day. That evening, she announced that her friend had offered her a place to stay that would be more appreciative of her help. She packed her bags and was gone before dinner the next day. The repair work on her condo mysteriously accelerated, and she was back in her own place within the week. My wife was quiet for a few days afterward. Then one night, as we sat on our couch with our throw pillows exactly where we liked them, she turned to me. I'm sorry I didn't see what was happening, she said. I grew up with her rearranging our house constantly, so it just seemed normal to me. But this is our home, not hers. I could have handled it better, I admitted. But it felt like she was erasing us from our own space. No, you made your point in a way she could actually understand. For what it's worth, I like our inefficient kitchen much better. We're having her over for dinner next month, but my wife has made it very clear that this is our home, and while her mother is always welcome to visit, the days of her redecorating are over. As for me, I've learned that sometimes fighting fire with fire is the only way to get through to someone. And I've never slept better than in my bed, facing the direction I chose, in the home we created together.